Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. And welcome to anyone who may be tuning in to this short clip. I'm going to be continuing in this clip with reading from the excellent novel that I did my doctorate on, called Ambiguous Adventure by Cheikh Hamidou Kane. And again, a reminder to anybody who may be interested in reading this. It is a novel about a young Muslim boy who is removed from his teacher to be sent to the French school in Senegal, where he undergoes a type of education that will train him to be a member of the French colonial administration. In a sense, it's a form of reprogramming the mind, and he undergoes a huge trauma through being torn away from his teacher, torn away from this initiatory tradition, and torn away from the journey towards knowledge of his own self. This is the key part of the novel. And I was reading in the previous section a dialogue between his father, who is called the Knight, and the French administrator, Paul Lacroix. If you want to see the other clip, it is in this collection on my channel, so you might want to listen to that one first before you listen to this one, because I'm going to continue where we left off, which is in the middle of this dialogue with the Knight, as he's called, and Paul Lacroix. So they have been talking about the end of the world and the Islamic concept of time and existence, and the secular European concept of time and existence. So here, Paul Lacroix says to the Knight, "I should like to know your world." The Knight says, "You know it already. Our world is that which believes in the end of the world, which at the same time hopes for it and fears it. Just now I rejoiced greatly when it seemed to me that you were in anguish there in front of the window. See, I was saying to myself, he has a foreboding of the end." Lacroix says, "No, it was not anguish, truly. It did not go as far as that." The Knight says, "Then, from the bottom of my heart, I wish for you to rediscover the feeling of anguish in the face of the dying sun. I ardently wish that for the West. When the sun dies, no scientific certainty should keep us from weeping for it. No rational evidence should keep us from asking that it be reborn. You are slowly dying under the weight of evidence. I wish you that anguish, like a resurrection." Lacroix says, "To what shall we be born?" The Knight says, "To a more profound truth. Evidence is a quality of the surface. Your science is the triumph of evidence, a proliferation of the surface. It makes you the masters of the external, but at the same time it exiles you there more and more." This is a key paragraph in this book, where it is talking about the debate between, we could say, pre-quantum physics science that began with Descartes, the 17th century onwards, and the experience of reality, the experience of an existence that actually perceives and engages with higher metaphysical realms. So this is what the debate is about. And Lacroix is saying that we gather or understand a little bit more of the truth each day through gathering evidence. Our knowledge of the truth is gained through proof and through evidence. So the Knight is saying that evidence is a quality of the surface. Your science is the triumph of evidence, a proliferation of the surface. What about beyond the evidence that's collected from the surface of reality? There was a moment of silence. Outside, the vesperal drama had come to an end. The sun had set. Behind it, an imposing mass of bright red cloud had come crumbling down like a monstrous stream of clotted blood. The red splendour of the air had been progressively softened under the impact of the slow invasion of the evening shade. Strange, Lacroix was thinking. This fascination of nothingness for those who have nothing. Their nothingness, they call it the absolute. They turn their backs to the light, but they look at the shadow fixedly. Is it that this man is not conscious of his poverty? Another key paragraph here. For those who don't have an apprehension of a transcendent entity, for them, that transcendent entity is nothing. So in their minds, those who are enraptured by the journey towards the transcendent entity, in their minds, are enraptured with nothing. Our fascination for this journey towards the divine, in their minds, is a fascination with nothing. So this is why he's saying how strange it is, this fascination of nothingness for those who have nothing. Their nothingness, they call it the absolute. And then he says they turn their backs to the light. In Lacroix's mind, the light being the light of materialist science, the light that Europe believes it has spread across the world through certain material advancements. And of course his observation of the Knight as well, those who have nothing, very much again the European coming into a southern hemisphere country, Africa, India. Oh look, they've got nothing. They've got nothing. And even though they have nothing, they're still fascinated with nothing. That's how it looks to someone who's come from a world that is cluttered with objects and whose population has been trained to desire and acquire objects. The Knight's voice broke the silence now, but in a low and meditative tone, as if he were speaking to himself. I should like to say to you, nevertheless, he hesitated. What do you wish to say, monsieur? I should like to tell you that it is myself ultimately who have sent my son to your school. It is your turn to make me very happy, Paul Lacroix said. The Knight says, I have sent my son to your school, and I have prayed God to save us all, you and us. Lacroix says, he will save us if he exists. The Knight says, I have sent my son to the school because the external, which you have checked, was slowly seeping through us and destroying us. Teach him to check the external. Lacroix says, we have checked it. The Knight says, the external is aggressive. If man does not conquer it, then it destroys man, makes him a victim of tragedy. A sore which is neglected does not heal, but becomes infected to the point of gangrene. A child who is not educated goes backward. A society which is not governed destroys itself. The West sets up science against the invading chaos. Sets it up like a barricade. Another key sentence. The West sets up science against the invading chaos. Sets it up like a barricade. The West needs to have that illusion of order and protection from the chaos of the universe, of death, of uncertainty. At this moment, Lacroix had to fight against the strong temptation to push the electric light switch which was within reach of his hand. He would have liked to scrutinize the shadowed face of this motionless man who sat opposite him. In his voice he perceived a tonality which intrigued him, and which he would have liked to relate to the expression of his face. But no, he thought, if I turn on the light, this man may stop talking. It is not to me that he's talking, it is to himself. He listened. Every hour that passes brings a supplement of ignition to the crucible in which the world is being fused. We have not had the same past, you and ourselves, but we shall have strictly the same future. The era of separate destinies has run its course. In that sense, the end of the world has indeed come for every one of us, because no one can any longer live by the simple carrying out of what he himself is. But from our long and varied ripenings, a son will be born to the world, the first son of the earth, the only one also. In the darkness, Lacroix felt that the night was turning slightly towards him. Monsieur Lacroix, this future, I accept it, he said. My son is the pledge of that. He will contribute to its building. It is my wish that he contribute not as a stranger come from distant regions, but as an artisan responsible for the destinies of this citadel. Lacroix says, he will teach us the secrets of the shade. He will reveal to us the springs at which your youth quenches its thirst. Do not do violence to yourself, Monsieur Lacroix. I know that you do not believe in the shade, nor in the end of the world. What you do not see does not exist. The moment, like a raft, carries you on the luminous surface of its round disk, and you deny the abyss that lies about you. The future citadel, thanks to my son, will open its wide windows on the abyss, from which will come great gusts of shadow upon our shriveled brows. With all my soul I wish for this opening. In this city which is being born, such should be our work. All of us, Hindus, Chinese, South Americans, Africans, Arabs, all of us, awkward and pitiful, we, the underdeveloped, who feel ourselves to be clumsy in a world of perfect mechanical adjustment. It was becoming quite dark now. Lacroix, not moving, heard in the shadow this strange prayer. God, in whom I believe, if we are not to succeed, let the apocalypse come. Take away from us that liberty of which we shall not have known how to make use. May thy hand fall heavily then upon the great unconsciousness. May the arbitrary power of thy will throw out the order, the stable course of our law. Throw out of order the stable course of our laws. Of course, he's not literally saying that the power of the divine's will is arbitrary, but rather that, as the Quran says, when people perceive themselves to be living in a stable world, and they just carry on blindly with no awareness of what their existence really is, then one event can happen to shake all that, and as the Quran says, it will be as if they had never existed. They were carrying on with their worldly enjoyment, thinking they are the greatest people to have walked the planet, the most advanced, and suddenly something happened and they were no longer there. And this is what the night is praying for. So these are some key thoughts in this excellent book. Again, I can recommend it to read, especially for those who are struggling to understand the philosophical questions that we are dealing with in this postmodern age, trying to understand where we stand. Ambiguous Adventure by Cheikh Hamidou Kane. You should be able to order it online, and inshallah I will be reading more from this excellent book. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum.